And I was thinking about how in childhood we create these situations at home where it might not be healthy, but it feels comfortable. So do you see sometimes where people will be in relationship dynamics where it's not necessarily healthy, but it feels comfortable for them?
Absolutely. Isn't that why we stay in unhealthy family relationships? Because I hear people going through chaos with their families, but the discomfort of leaving or changing that relationship or speaking up or demanding anything differently certainly causes a level of discomfort that they're not ready to deal with. So they'll continue to do the thing that they've always sort of done.
Mm-hmm. In family dynamics, if someone was to try and speak with the family about something that happened, try and have a conversation, how could they create the best environment or situation or opportunity for that? Because I'm sure it's not like, after their sports team loses the big game, right before bed, after drinks, what would be the most opportune environment and situation to speak to your family?
When you feel the desire to speak. I know that's not what we're looking for, but we are always seeking, like, what's the best time to talk? Is it before bed? Is it after your second meal of the day? Is it when your feet are warm? It's like you're trying to control too many factors. When you feel the need to say it, call the person. Mm-hmm. If you need to call them on the phone and say it, if you need to say it in person, if you're in the middle of a workout and it pops into your head, I want you to say it. Because the appropriate environment, the temperature may not be right. It might not be midweek. It might not, all of these things may not align. And I don't want you to sit with that on your spirit because you're trying to wait for the world to get perfect to have this conversation. Because that might not happen. So I think the best time to have the conversation is when you're thinking about having it. Certainly not in front of a room full of people. Certainly, if someone just had some life tragedy, not at that very moment. There are certainly bad times to have a conversation, but good times, it's when you are ready to talk about it, and you're ready because you are thinking about it. You don't have to have the perfect speech. I know some of us, we feel like it's a wedding proposal. Let me go over everything. Do I have everything?
100%.
Okay, so on June 22nd, that's when I'm going to start. June 22nd. We go through this whole thing. And it doesn't come out that way. Mm-hmm. I found that all of the stuff that I rehearse and practice, it doesn't come out that way. So it's okay to be a little rough around the edges, to jump over your words a little bit, to stutter, to, be nervous. Just say it because you're really thinking about it. Now, I mentioned earlier that I won't go to people who have harmed me for validation, but I will tell you how I feel. I'm not looking for the validation. I just want you to know. Mm-hmm. And I'll say that. I don't even want you to respond to this. I just want you to know where I am. Because I don't want it to be a situation where you're confused. I don't know why this person won't invite me. Well, you know exactly why. Because I told you. Yes. Do you want me to pull up the text? Yes. I have it. Yes.
Everybody, we see this.
Does everyone see this? Do we need to get on a 5-way call again? Yes. It's like, so sometimes we have to check what we're expecting from this other person. A person who has a low level of self-awareness may not give you what you need in terms of, oh, I did that to you. Yeah. It's like, this isn't acting. They're going to be like, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. What are you talking about? So when people haven't done their work, they're not going to do your work for you. They can only respond based on their level of emotional maturity, of self-awareness, of understanding of their own trauma, of understanding of how they impact people. That's how they're responding. So even when people have the response of maybe gaslighting or shutting you down or giving you the silent treatment, that's all that person can do. I remember the first time someone gave me the silent treatment. It was for an entire year, a relative.
Wow. I didn't expect that.
It was they did something very embarrassing, and they refused to accept responsibility for it. So they called me the next day like, hey, I was like, hey, you did this thing. And they were like, I didn't do that. It was your fault. You invited me to the thing. But I'm like, you got really drunk. You did this thing. And, you know, like, I'm trying to tell you what happened here. And I didn't hear from them after that. When I heard from them again, they said, remember you were trying to say that I said, I still stand by that.
I'm obsessed. A year later, it's like, yes.
I'm not obsessed, but I'm not going to take blame for it.
No, I'm obsessed with that answer. Just being like, yes.
Yes.
Still.
They don't bring it up anymore. This was
Of
like
course.
many moons ago. They don't bring it up anymore because I'm not going to agree with it. There was a time in my life, particularly when I was a kid, when people would do things and I would be like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I don't remember that anymore. But now I'm like, I'm such an adult. I remember it just like this. I'm not going to change my memory of what happened for your validation because that's dishonoring myself. Now I have to lie to myself to be able to make you more comfortable with this thing that you did. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and how has that approach changed your relationship with yourself?
I think it has given me such a level of confidence and self-esteem. Like the way I talk to myself in the mirror, I need to record it. It needs to be like an affirmation CD or something.
Maybe your YouTube shorts should be those.
Even when I mess up, I have just become so kind to myself. Like, girl, you ain't mean to do it. You didn't know. You know, so it helps me be more gentle with myself. It helps me be more accountable. Seeing someone unable to be accountable for their actions, it's like I don't want anyone to be on the receiving end of that like I was. So when someone says this is what you did, I have 2 kids, they tell me. They're very honest.
Yes.
They're therapist kids. So they're like
100%.
This made me feel. You're like, oh my gosh. I have taught them too many
Yeah, you're like,
words.
again.
Right. I'm nervous about the first day of school. Oh my gosh, my anxiety was bad last night. I'm like, your sex. Like, is this
You're coloring
language?
all day.
Just like, this is your language. So yeah, they say stuff to me. I'm married, my husband, my friends, you know, people say stuff to me and I'm like, I receive that. That's usually my response. I receive that. I hear that. I'm going to try to do a better job of that. Because I'm not doing it intentionally.
Totally.
I think of myself as a good person. So if I am, you know, maybe over talking you, or if I am, you know, dismissing what you said, I don't mean to do that. So I don't even take that as a offense to myself. I'm like, I have to pause longer when they're talking. Like I take it as a opportunity for growth.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Morning Microdose by Almost 30.
We hope you enjoyed waking up.
As always, we encourage you to take what resonates and leave the rest. If you enjoyed this trip, tune into the full episode on the Almost 30 podcast. All episode information can be found in the show notes.
Make sure to subscribe, and if this becomes a part of your morning routine, be sure to share it with a friend. We have new inspiring doses Monday through Friday. Follow us on Instagram at Morning Microdose, and follow Almost 30 at Almost 30 Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the vortex.